Folks, welcome back. It's been a year of stuff. And, well, some of that stuff's been Metro related. This year, I'm breaking the update down into 3 videos. In this first, we'll go through updates on most of the projects. In the second, we'll talk all about the Sepulveda line. And in the third, we'll talk about the Biden infrastructure bill and how this could impact Metro funding. But first, a word from our sponsors. Are you an idle billionaire watching this on your gold-plated iPhone? Perhaps a hotshot director with a weekly high-stakes poker game? Well, there's a new investment opportunity just for you. It's called Saving the Hollywood ArcLight. Studies show that buying this theater and keeping it the exact fucking same is proven to get people to like you. Which, if Elon Musk's inability to log off of Twitter is any indication, is all billionaires really want. Save the Hollywood ArcLight today. And now, back to our original programming. As usual, we'll start with the Crenshaw line. They've been allegedly continuing to work on this all year, but you'd never know it by their pace. The progress curve is in serious danger of being used to teach about asymptotes in high school textbooks, and Metro is pessimistic about the current forecasted start of service date this November. Remember. This was supposed to open in 2018. Now they're saying June of 2022. Oh wait, did I say it's opening June of 2022 now? That's only the northern half, because the LAX connection station that was supposed to be done in 2023 hasn't even been awarded the construction contract yet, and we're now looking at July of 2024 to finish it. So the southern section of the line will be a bus bridge until July of 2023, when they'll finally start letting trains through. But wait, there's more. Did I say the northern half at least would open in June of 2022? Well, see, the mayor of Inglewood is insisting that the at-grade crossing of Centinela be elevated to avoid bad traffic on game days, which will take 2 years and cost $500 million. And this is why we can't have nice things. If Metro goes ahead and approves that, this line, which was supposed to open in 2018, may essentially be completely unusable until 2023 or 2024. Just excellent work, everyone. No notes. Meanwhile, the rest of the LAX People Mover's doing great. That'll still open in 2023. Great job, LA World Airports, on not also being a dumpster fire. That has to be the only time I've ever felt any positive sentiment towards LAX in my entire goddamn life. The regional connector is upset that Crenshaw is getting all the attention for being a shit show, and it has locked itself in its room and said it won't come out until Mom gives it more allowance. Metro's paid the extra $13 million to put the project back onto schedule, and for now, service is still forecast to begin in the fall of next year. Metro's also affirmed that the routing displayed here is what they'll go with the A line taking over the northern half of the Gold Line, and the E line taking over the southern half. They're still trying to figure out what on earth to do about the Washington Flower Junction that massively slows everything down on this line. Whatever they decide will probably mean a closure and temporary bus bridge here too eventually, but that's probably a ways off. Hopefully this could be fully grade separated because, unlike Centinela, this actually needs it. The D line was doing pretty okay until a whole bunch of anomalies popped up during tunneling. At Beverly Hills High School, there were 2 old oil wells that needed to be abandoned, and under La Cienega was the foundation of an old bridge over a stream that used to be there, and they needed to dig it up. Plus, some damage happened to a Section 2 cutter head, and it needs to be repaired in a really complicated, tedious way. Forecasted service for Section 1 is now 2024, while Sections 2 and 3 are still 2025 and 2027 respectively. At least in one Metro document, that's true. In another that came out at basically the same time, Section 2 is scheduled to begin service in 2026 and Section 3 in 2028. Who knows? On the eastern end of the line, environmental review has started for the Arts District station, which is a great step, and now we know the chosen location. And possibly also have a link to the river park being built under the new 6th Street Bridge. There's a pretty good chance this could scoop up some federal funding and get built before too long. More on that in the 3rd video. The Foothill Gold Line extension, shown here as part of the A line as it will be when it opens after the regional connector is complete, is moving along nicely. They've determined, however, that the line will end at Pomona instead of Montclair, as they were unable to scrounge up the funds needed to get it to Montclair. At least, so far. There's still efforts afoot, but I'll touch more on that in the 3rd video. An interesting development with the Inglewood People Mover. So, it seemed to make sense to link this and the LAX People Mover together, but there was a rule in place that the LAX one could not serve non-LAX destinations. That rule has actually now been removed. However, for them to be able to link up in the future and become one line, the Inglewood one would have to build to the exact same specifications as the LAX one, and it doesn't seem like there's movement towards that happening. Plus, the LAX People Mover, already halfway done, may not even be leaving room for an extension at its end anyway. But it's worth noting. Now on to my favorite, the Crenshaw North. So Metro has narrowed this down to 3 options: the quick one on La Brea, the slightly bendy one on Fairfax, and our old favorite, the hybrid, which goes through more contortions than a flat earther trying to explain gravity. You may remember last time I advocated quite strongly for an additional option, building out the La Brea with a spur line that goes into WeHo, that in the future could be extended southwest toward Venice and east toward downtown. Here's the thing, Metro is currently in the public comments period for this line, until May 28th. You can add a public comment by emailing this address here, which is also listed in the description, or attending one of these virtual scoping meetings, again with links in the description. Metro's actually pretty good about adding options to studies based on public comments, as we'll see in a minute, and the purpose of this comments period is to get a sense of what the public wants before Metro begins the environmental review. So, if you think this is a good idea, serving WeHo with a great rail line while avoiding a long, tortured route for everyone else, then make your voice heard. And if you want more details on my proposal, check out the 2020 Metro Update video. The East San Fernando Valley line was split into 2 phases, with the first now ending at Pacoima in the Metrolink tracks. There's 3 options for what to do with the second phase. First, build it out to Silmar San Fernando on new light rail tracks as originally intended. Second, bring it to Silmar San Fernando with the light rail train sharing tracks with the Amtrak and Metrolink trains. And third, instead of extending light rail, simply add an infill Metrolink station at the terminus of the line and enable transfers there, and then beef up Metrolink service along that route. My money's on that third option. The first phase is planned to begin construction next year. The Sepulveda line, nope, not gonna touch that, not touching that yet. I'm quarantining that shit into its own video. Wait till the next one. The East Side Gold Line is probably going to be built in phases now instead of all in one go, but they haven't yet decided how the phases will be carved up. The Sea Line to Torrance has 4 current routing options. Along the Harbor subdivision tracks either at grade or in a trench, or down Hawthorne either at grade or elevated. And 3 of these options were added due to public input. See? It works. People seem to really want it down Hawthorne, and Lawndale's mayor now wants a station if it is on Hawthorne. They'll choose the route early next year, though it's worth noting that the costs for this small extension are probably going to rise so significantly that it will really call into question the amount being spent for the ridership gained here, which is minuscule compared to lines like Sepulveda or the Crenshaw North. So it'll be interesting to see what happens between now and next year. The West Santa Ana branch is also soon going to be choosing its route. To recap, it'll either end at 7th Metro or Union Station. And Metro says the 7th Metro option will perform better for the federal grants that they're seeking, so I'd expect that. Which is also better, as the options to link it up to Union were all pretty subpar, and the northern extension potential of the 7th Metro terminus is a lot better. Groundbreaking set for 2023 and will be built in phases, with the southern phase first. A lot happening on the BRT front. We can see here all the Measure M BRT lines, and zooming in on the NoHo Pasadena line, there are some changes to the line's route and stations in Burbank. Metro wants to divert it off Olive for a bit to serve Disney, and they've nixed an Olive Street Bridge station and replaced it with one at Lake. The mayor of Burbank's not happy with that last one, and personally I agree that having a station connect with the Metrolink station underneath is better anyway, and it'll probably win out. There's also some minor refinements in Eagle Rock that would keep it on Colorado Boulevard instead of the 134. And in case you were wondering, the local opposition, which is a vocal minority, is still batshit crazy, now claiming that the majority of their neighbors who do want the line are imposters who don't actually live in the area. Cool.
Cool.
In addition to these BRT lines named in Measure M, the measure also covers the funding of 1 additional BRT line per decade, and Metro has identified 5 corridors for this, quote, quick build BRT, with the first being Broadway. The 4 others are Atlantic, La Cienega, Sunset, and Venice. I'm leaving these off the main map because we're starting to get to the point where BRT is really difficult to elegantly map alongside rail lines. Oh, and wait, there's yet another new BRT line likely to get built. This time in the San Gabriel Valley. See, when they scrapped the State Road 60 route of the East Side Gold Line, they commissioned a study to determine how else to spend that money. That study should begin soon and be completed next year. As of now, some politicians have voiced support for a Valley Boulevard deal. For a Valley Boulevard BRT. Jesus Christ. And that idea just got a huge boost as Metro suggested spending money from the cancelled 710 extension on the first part of a Valley Boulevard BRT. So, Basically, this is going to be a Valley Boulevard BRT. I'm still not putting it on the map. All the other projects in planning are pretty much unchanged since the last update, except Sepulveda, which we're saving. And you can see them all here. Metro is also calling for suggestions from the local councils of government for, quote, strategic unfunded projects in their areas, which basically means projects that they'll target to fund after the current slate of Measure R and M projects is done. The last time they did this was in 2009, and the stragglers from that list that are still unfunded are 2 poorly defined routes of Burbank-Glendale Light Rail, a further South Bay Light Rail extension, the D line to Santa Monica, the B line to Burbank Airport, light rail between Vermont, Santa Monica, and La Puente, and a Vermont subway, plus 2 newer light rail conversions. So far, only the West Side has sent in its wish list, and the only rail project they've asked for is the same D-line extension, but along with 10 BRT lines. Along basically every major corridor. I expect the final list to be pretty close to what it was last time, with a few differences. Like, if we zoom in up here, I don't really think that there will be 2 light rail lines essentially a block apart, and that the NoHo Pasadena BRT will be converted to rail on the exact same route. I think what's far more likely is that the Crenshaw line will cross the pass from Hollywood and go up Olive to Burbank Metrolink, freeing up the NoHo Pasadena conversion to just keep taking Chandler before hitting Burbank Metrolink and then heading on to Glen Oaks, with a fragment of the original NoHo Pasadena BRT being preserved as an east-west connector for the studios. We don't need this yellow line at all anymore, especially since Metrolink will be increasing frequency here and is adding an infill station south of here. But if we want a rapid link to Burbank Airport, we just extend the K line north instead of the B line, which would be cheaper and hit the newer Burbank Airport station that sits next to where the new terminal will go. I'll probably do a short update video over the summer once that new list is up. In the third video of this series, after we talk about how some construction schedules might change, I'll run through the timeline in which projects are now expected to open. At least until 2028, because everything after that is so up in the air that hiring a psychic to guess would probably be as accurate as the given schedules.
I will consult the bones!
But next, for the second video, we'll talk about this thing. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and in the meantime, don't forget to submit a public comment on Crenshaw North.